by Obiwizi and Buka Hut.
Welcome to the second hour of the second day of the sixth season of the I Beg to Differ Student Debate Competition. Just a quick reminder, we are streaming live on our social media handles, and you can follow us on X, on Facebook and YouTube. On Facebook, it's Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow the live stream and drop your comments. We will take some of those. And you can also reach us via WhatsApp. Remember, we're streaming too on YouTube, Nigeria Info. Our WhatsApp number is there.
080-959-75805. 080-959-75805 is our WhatsApp number. Also, our partners for this tournament are Obiwizi. Obiwizi is our long-standing partner. He's been with us since the start of the tournament. And Buka Hut as well. Obiwizi is giving the students laptops, over 1 million naira worth of prizes in gadgets. And Buka Hut is ensuring that the students stay refreshed. We are back now, and we will hear the second debate, the second match for the day. Our contestants are Richard Naomi and Uzonwanne Emmanuel.
We'll give you more details as regards these two contestants. Let us start by saying welcome to them. Naomi, Richard.
Thank you, sir.
How are you?
I'm very fine.
What's the name of your school?
The name of my school is Lagos State Senior Model College, Baduri, District 3.
What class are you in?
I am in SS3.
How old are you?
I am 15 years old.
15 years old. All right. Emmanuel, Uzonwanne. How are you, Emmanuel?
I'm fine, sir.
What's the name of your school?
New International School, Shevan Lekki.
What class are you in?
I'm in SS2.
And how old are you?
I'm 15 years old.
Are you ready for the debate?
Yes, sir.
The topic of this debate is malaria has had more devastating effects on the world than COVID-19. Has it? Has it not?
Right. I've got two pieces of paper in my palm. I will shake them and you will pick. The side you pick will determine whether you support or oppose the motion.
And so these two individuals pick, and as they do the picking, we take a short break for them to catch their positions, and when we come back, we're going straight into the debates.
The I Beg to Differ tournament continues with 4 debaters going head to head. Emmanuel Bethel will face off Michelle Azu at 4 p.m. to discuss the topic. There should be penalty for eligible voters who fail to vote during elections. At 5 p.m., Richard Naomi faces off Uzonwanne Emmanuel to debate the topic. Malaria has had more devastating effects on the world than COVID-19. Join Femi, Obong-Daniels, and Yvonne Okhaifo as we moderate the show. I Beg to Differ. 32 debaters, 1 winner, 1 million naira. Supported by Obiwizi and Buka Hut.
Welcome back, Lagos. This is Nigeria Info's 6th edition of the I Beg to Differ Students Debate Tournament. Let's remind you, Lagos, that the winner of this tournament will go home with 1 million naira, an HP laptop, a Green Lion folding laptop stand, and a Green Lion 3-in-1 set. The first runner-up gets 500,000 naira, a GP Pro gaming console, a GL G10 Ultra, a tablet, a Green Lion 3-in-1 set, and a JBL Clip 4. And the second runner-up will go home with 250,000 naira, a GL G10 Ultra tablet, a Green Lion Airbuds Pro 2, and a Green Lion Smartwatch SE. The gadgets are all courtesy of Obiwizi.
It's time now for the debate. Malaria has had more devastating effects on the world than COVID-19.
Indeed.
Richard, Naomi,
Yes,
how
sir.
do you argue?
Supporting.
You are supporting the
Yes,
motion.
sir.
So Emmanuel will argue against it. In which case, Naomi, you will go first.
And you've got 3 minutes. You will have 3 minutes for each round of debate. Now, for the presentation round, Naomi, your time starts now.
Bill Gates once said, and I quote, "There are many more people dying of malaria than any other specific diseases." And with this, I say good day, adjudicators, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and my audience, ladies and gentlemen. I am, by virtue of the nomenclature, Richard Naomi, a student of Lagos State Senior Model College, Badiri District 3, here to strongly support the motion of the topic. Malaria has had more devastating effects in the world than COVID-19. It's important to note that malaria has done more harm than good to the social life of me and you. We can certainly agree with me that at certain phases of your lives, you have encountered with malaria, and you know the harm it has done to your social life as regards restraining you from religious activities, educational activities, recreational activities, leisure activities, and worst of all, stopping you from engaging with your peer pressures. Well, it is indeed, malaria has aided the increase of mortality rate all over the world yearly compared to COVID-19, which emerged about 3 years ago and disappeared about 2 years ago. Well, nearly in 2021, nearly half of the world's population were at risk of malaria. That year, there were an estimated 247 million cases and about 63,937,144 deaths. Well, it is evident from these statistics that malaria has done more devastating effects in the increasing mortality rates all over the world than COVID-19. In fact, malaria has proved to be unpreventable due to its mode of transmission. As we all know, malaria is a life-threatening disease, and its mode of transmission is through mosquitoes, especially Anopheles mosquitoes. So we all know that, okay, to make this seem practical and for more clarity, we know that during the COVID-19 era, pandemic, we could prevent COVID-19 by washing our hands, putting on nose masks, giving distances and other preventive measures. But then you cannot prevent malaria because it's mosquito that bites you. Dear audience, can you tell when a mosquito wants to bite you? No, because it can bite you anyhow, anywhere, at any time. So according to one 2002 Nature article, it states that malaria is unpreventable due to its connection with environment and nature. And using Niger as a case study, this country's environment is an eyesore. Well, you need to look at the picture of its environment. Like, there's a lot of, the environment is dirty, and as we all know, a dirty environment that has stagnant water breeds mosquitoes, especially Anopheles mosquitoes, because that is their method of reproduction. So at this like currently now, its estimated cases are 247,000, and they have the death cases of 6,937,144 deaths. So moving on to my next point, malaria has a tendency of escalating to other health-related diseases. Malaria is the leading cause of disease in most developing countries, where pregnant women and young children are the groups most affected. The first symptoms may be mild, similar to many other febrile illnesses, and difficult to recognize as malaria. But they also lead to anemia and jaundice because of loss of red blood cells. We can all tell how important our red blood cells is to us. Thank you.
Thank you for your opening remarks, your presentation. And it's time for a response. We go now to Emmanuel Uzonwanne for his opening remarks.
Emmanuel Uzonwanne is the motion opposer. Emmanuel, your 3 minutes start now.
Good day, moderator, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, my co-debater, and my overall audience. My name is Uzonwanne, a student from Neil Hall International School, and I'm here to oppose the motion that says malaria has had more devastating effect on the world than COVID-19. Firstly, and here are my reasons why. Firstly, the sheer speed and scale of COVID-19 spread has been unparalleled, reaching every corner of the world in a remarkably short period of time. According to the National Institute of Health, COVID-19 originated in Wuhan, China in December 2019, and as of March 2020, COVID-19 had led to over 800,000 cases and 40,000 deaths globally. Unlike malaria, which has been here for over a millennia, COVID-19 has swiftly emerged as a formidable global adversary. Secondly, you would agree with me when I say during the COVID-19 pandemic, there were a lot of economic disruption. People were losing their jobs. Businesses were closing down. The trade between countries were being disrupted, all affecting the economy of the whole world. According to Statista, the world's collective GDP fell by 3.4%, making it the lowest rate in half a century. Furthermore, turning attention to education, COVID-19 has affected the world educational sector. COVID-19 has affected the world educational sector. According to UNESCO, COVID-19 led to nationwide closures of schools in over 190 countries, affecting nearly 1.6 billion students. They also estimated 24 million students dropping out of schools, especially with South and Western Asia being the most affected. In Nigeria, the public schools found it hard to adapt to this trend. This is because they didn't have enough technological infrastructures to enhance learning. Additionally, the very demographic impact further distinguished COVID-19 from malaria. Unlike malaria, which primarily targets a specific demographic, 80% being children under 5, COVID-19 affects a broader range of age group, making it a more universally impactful health crisis with far-reaching consequences. Moreover, the social and mental health problem brings another layer to our understanding. Measures taken to curb the spread of COVID-19, like social distancing, lockdowns, led to increased isolation and mental health problems globally. There was also a widespread of depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress. According to World Health Organization, in the first year of COVID, there was a 25% increase in the prevalence of anxiety and depression, surpassing the social impacts caused by malaria. Moreover, the mutations and variants caused by COVID-19. Many variants came up with COVID-19, and each came with its own devastating effect. Variants like Omicron, Delta, Alpha, Beta could cause the disease to be more resistant, deadlier, even more contagious, and making it harder for scientists to make vaccines to effectively control the disease. Also, COVID-19 is said to be more contagious as it spread through respiratory droplets compared to malaria, which is spread through vectors like female Anopheles mosquito. When there is absence of the vector, there will be no malaria. In conclusion, the unprecedented challenges posed by COVID-19 shows us why COVID-19 has had the more devastating effect on the world than malaria. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, both of you, Naomi and Emmanuel, for your presentation rounds. And now we are getting set for the rebuttals.
Yes, Lagos. They are debating that malaria has had more devastating effects on the world than COVID-19. You've just heard the motion supporter, Richard Naomi, and the motion opposer, Uzonwanne Emmanuel, give their presentation rounds. They will now give their rebuttal rounds. Lagos. We will start with the motion opposer, Uzonwanne Emmanuel. Because you opposed the motion, you will start with the rebuttal. Your 3 minutes start now.
Firstly, you spoke about the longevity of the impact. COVID-19, which came as of 2019, led to a pandemic. As of recently, which is 2019, COVID-19 already has a higher mortality rate than malaria, which has been here for over a millennia. It has already swiftly emerged as a global formidable adversary in under a shorter time frame. Also, you spoke about the higher mortality rate. For in all those years, COVID-19 already has a higher annual mortality rate than malaria. According to Johns Hopkins University, COVID-19 has led to over 5 million deaths worldwide, surpassing the annual mortality rate of malaria. You also spoke about the preventive measures. When there is no vector, that's the female Anopheles mosquito, there will be no malaria. It is easy to curb this spread of malaria due to environmental sanitation. We have to clean the drainages, make sure we have a clean environment, and this will stop the breeding of mosquitoes. My last point would be, you said COVID-19 typically affects pregnant women or a specific age or gender. I'm going to say COVID-19 is not a respecter of any demographic, whether age, gender, or anything. It affects a broader range of age groups, genders, etc., making it a more universally impactful health crisis. This is why I state COVID-19 is more devastating than malaria. Thank you.
Uzonwanne Emmanuel has just rebutted the points made by Naomi Richard. Uzonwanne, you had over 1 minute 30 seconds, but I guess you had no more points to rebut. We will now take Richard Naomi's rebuttal. Richard, your 3 minutes start now.
Well, the first point you made, you said COVID-19 is more universal than malaria. How would you tell me that COVID-19 is more universal than malaria? COVID-19 that emerged in just 2020 and just spread for just like 1 year, because by 2021 the disease appeared. But malaria has been in existence for close to 2.5 to 30 million years now. And if you want to calculate the emergence of cases yearly, you would see that if you want to start multiplying it by those 2.5 to 30 million years, it's going to exceed the figures that we are having right now for COVID-19. Then you also said it affects the social and mental health. COVID-19 only affected the social and mental health of individuals only in 2020 and 2021. But I can tell you that malaria has been affecting the social and mental health of individuals for like number of years now, uncountable years now, because we can't start counting how many decades that malaria has affected the social and mental health. How do I mean by this? When you were sick of malaria, you were not able to go to church, and you were confined to your bed, and you were isolated. Then you also said variants, COVID-19 has more variants. How will you tell me COVID-19 have more variants? Because it's only during that period that COVID-19 was rampant. But now that COVID-19 has disappeared, we still have nature and we still have environment. You will not tell me that most people they don't keep sanitation like every other people. So if you say that if we sanitize our environment, we are going to end malaria and all of that, it's not really possible, because most people don't really sanitize their environments regularly. You also said that COVID-19 has vaccine or something like that. Well, COVID-19 has a vaccine that you can curb it with, but malaria does not have vaccine, but only antibodies and antibiotics, and also anti-malaria as we call it. So that is the only thing that reduces malaria. Can I tell you that if you are sick of malaria and you take antibiotics or anti-malaria, it doesn't kill the malaria, it only reduces the malaria. That is why after 3 months you can still have malaria. Then you also said COVID-19 has formed a global formidable adversary. I strongly disagree with you, because malaria still exists and will continue to be in existence as long as the vectors of malaria still exist. And because what can kill mosquito? Like, you cannot kill all the breeds of mosquito in just one eye. So that is just to tell you that vectors of malaria will still win. Then you also said, according to John Hopkins report or something like that, according to WHO World Report, malaria has had more figures of both cases and COVID-19. And I can tell you that you can prevent COVID-19 through provision of quarantine facilities, nose masks, and hand sanitizer. But you can effectively control malaria. So this is why I'm still here to tell you that malaria has had more devastating effects than COVID-19 in the world. Thank you.
And those end rebuttal rounds between Naomi and Emmanuel.
Lagos, when we return for this break, you will hear the closing rounds. In the closing rounds, the debaters will get a chance to share some of the points they missed in the presentation or even in the rebuttal rounds. But for now, Lagos, let's take a break.
The I Beg to Differ tournament continues with 4 debaters going head to head. Emmanuel Bethel will face off Michelle Azu at 4 p.m. to discuss the topic. There should be penalty for eligible voters who fail to vote during elections. At 5 p.m., Richard Naomi faces off Uzonwanne Emmanuel to debate the topic. Malaria has had more devastating effects on the world than COVID-19. Join Femi, Obong-Daniels, and Yvonne Okhaifo as we moderate the show. I Beg to Differ. 32 debaters, 1 winner, 1 million naira. Supported by Obi Weezy and Buka Hut.
Welcome back to I Beg to Differ. Day 2. Battle between Naomi, Richard, and Emmanuel Uzonwanne.
That's right. We'll now have the closing rounds, and we will start this time with the motion supporter, Richard Naomi. Your 3 minutes start now.
So as I was saying earlier in the presentation,
Hold on a moment. Hold on a
Restart.
moment. Start afresh.
As I was saying earlier in the presentation rounds, malaria could lead to anemia and jaundice because of loss of red blood cells. Also, if you want to take South America and South Asia as a case study, you would see that malaria has escalated rampantly throughout the country because of the local weather conditions, the socio-economic instability, and also the scarce resources, which has hindered control of malaria. And if you are talking about the vaccine effect of malaria and you don't talk about the cost of it, the burden of it, the government and individuals, then that is a tip out of the iceberg. Okay, so let's start with the cost of malaria to individuals. You have expenses to and fro from clinic and dispensaries. You have treatment of malaria. You have cost of drugs purchase. You have absence of school and lost days of work, and also expenses of burial in case of death. And to the government, you have maintenance, supply and staffing of health facilities, purchase of drug and supplies, and also lost job opportunity for economic joint ventures and tourism. The malaria has been devastating, disastrous to the economy. Like, taking Africa as a case, every year Africa loses an estimated 1.2% of gross domestic product, and 1.2% of lost domestic product. And taking the countries of Vietnam and Bulgaria for an example, you would see that during the time of malaria affected food supply. How did it affect supply? It affected food supply so that when individuals were sick of malaria, the whole household could be sick of malaria. How? This is how your whole household could be sick of malaria. Like, when you're in a dirty environment, so that environment is going to breed mosquitoes. So that mosquito cannot just bite one person. Definitely, it's going to bite like more than 2 people in the family. So when you bite 2 people in the family, and then they are farmers or agricultural workers, it's going to affect their productivity in agricultural projects and lead to shortage of goods and low gross domestic products. And also, it affects the educational sector. COVID-19 only affected the educational sector for 1 year, and that was when there was closures of schools. But malaria will continue to affect the educational sector because it will affect the intellectual thinking of the individual. It will affect the mind of the individual because most of the times we don't easily recognize malaria when we have malaria. We let it escalate to other health-related diseases such as kidney failure, seizures, mental confusion, and sometimes death. So this mental confusion now can affect the educational sector of the economy. In a nutshell, the negative impact of malaria can not only be felt in terms of human suffering and death, but also in the education, social economy, cost to burden. Thank you.
Lagos, you've just heard Richard, Naomi oppose motion.
And at this point, it's time to hear from Emmanuel as he goes into his closing round. Are you ready, Emmanuel?
Yes, sir.
All right, Emmanuel, your 3 minutes. Start now.
Good day, everyone. She made some points that I want to address. Firstly,
speak directly to your mic. Adjust it.
Firstly, COVID-19 is more contagious, making it spread at a faster rate. Malaria, which is not contagious, is transmitted through a vector, and that vector can be stopped. If that vector is stopped or curbed, then there will be no malaria. Secondly, COVID-19 led to unemployment, reduced job opportunities, increased the poverty rate in the nation. Malaria has not done any of this in recent time. Also, COVID-19 led children dropping out in high school at a very high rate. It led to about 24 million students dropping out, especially with South and Western Asia being the most affected. COVID-19 brought about public fear and anxiety, which we have never seen before. There's no other disease that has brought about the same amount of public fear and anxiety that COVID-19 brought into the world. Also, do you know that there are about 42 malaria countries such as Taiwan and Morocco, which makes COVID-19 more universal? Malaria is mainly endemic in various countries, in like 106 countries, in continents like Africa, Asia, and North America. Also, the problem of vaccination of COVID-19. There was a problem of vaccine distribution, global disparities, and hesitancy prolonged the impact of COVID-19, therefore further distinguishing it against the battle against malaria. And you also said the whole family's house would be around the house. I disagree, as malaria is non-contagious, unlike COVID-19, which has a higher transmission rate and could be spread out by respiratory droplets. You could curb malaria by stopping the vector, which you could use malaria net, insecticides, and a good environmental sanitation. And you also said COVID-19 is also said to be asymptomatic. People do not know when they have disease. They tend to continue living without knowing they have disease, which makes it more dangerous than malaria. When you know that you have fever, you have symptoms of malaria. Thank you.
I was going to ring the bell, but you did not exhaust your time after all. Oh my word. What a show. What a show.
At this point, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, it will be time for us to see how these two have performed and hear from you.
Oh yeah, now. When you got somebody you love, somebody you love.
It's subsidy season. Win fuel vouchers, shopping vouchers, and airtime. The Hair Subsidy promo brought to you by Hair Insurance Group. When you renew or buy any motor insurance plan from Hair Insurance Group, you get an instant gift and qualify to win one of 25 fuel vouchers worth 100,000 naira each. Yes, that's right, a 100,000 naira fuel voucher. The Hair Subsidy promo is open from now until December 31st, 2023. To renew or buy a motor insurance plan, chat with Prince on WhatsApp number 09 11 400 9420 or call 0700 434 7746. Terms and conditions apply. Approved by FCCPC and NLRC.
So I'll buy a new microwave, washing machine, blender, gas cooker.
All of that in this token economy.
Calm down. It's Jumia Black Friday now. That's right. Jumia Black Friday is here again from November 3rd to 30th. You can get groceries, smartphones, electronics, fashion items at affordable prices. And if you have to return an item, you can easily initiate a return on the app and get refunded. This Jumia Black Friday, make your pockets breathe.
As you see me so, I belong to the Chop Better gang. Now why anytime I want chop like this, I dey put better things inside. For my yam porridge, after I don't put my fish, I come deck am with onions, tatashe and ugu, come season am with correct no cubes for that delicious taste. Because my people, good life, a life where you chop better.
Mama, all your food with correct vegetables, come season am with no cubes for that obonge delicious taste. Today, chop better.
Did you know that for you to survive the high rate of inflation in the economy, you need multiple streams of income that never sleep? Trade, a multi-asset regulated financial technology company, presents the Funded Trader Finance Conference for online traders. This event will be holding on Saturday, the 25th of November 2023 by 10 a.m. The venue is Jevenic Event Center, 21 Isaac John Street, Ikeja GRA, Ikeja, Lagos. You'll be trained on how to get started on this life-changing business opportunity. To reserve your seat, simply SMS the word Lagos with your name to 0916 0009130. You will learn how to access trading capitals and strategies to build multiple streams of income from online forex trading. To reserve your seat, simply SMS the word Lagos and your name to 0816 0009130. There will be giveaway trading capital and beautiful 10 trade branded t-shirts for 10 lucky winners. Simply SMS the word Lagos and your name to 0916 0009130.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station in talk.
The I Beg to Differ tournament continues with 4 debaters going head to head. Emmanuel Bethel will face off Michelle Azu at 4 p.m. to discuss the topic. There should be penalty for eligible voters who fail to vote during elections. At 5 p.m., Richard Naomi faces off Uzonwanne Emmanuel to debate the topic. Malaria has had more devastating effects on the world than COVID-19. Join Femi, Obong-Daniels, and Yvonne Okhaifo as we moderate the show. I Beg to Differ. 32 debaters, 1 winner, 1 million naira. Supported by Obiwizi and Buka Hut.
Welcome back. I beg to differ. Students' debate, season 6. Our second debate today, on day 2, was between Naomi Richard, 15-year-old SS3 student of Lagos State Senior Model College. She went up against Emmanuel Otito Dilechuku Uzonwanne. Before I bite my tongue, I will just stay with Emmanuel, also 15 and year 11 student of New Hall International School, Chevron, in Lekki. The results are out.
Yes, but it appears one of the judges made an error, which she will correct in a few.
We await that. And just as we await that, some credit to our sponsors and supporters.
First of all, I'd like to give a credit to the standby judge, Ufoma. He's listening. He has been listening since the debate started. And of course, our partners today are, for this tournament, by the way, are Obiwizi. Obiwizi is your guy if you need to change your gadgets, you want to buy a new gadget, you want to trade in your old gadget for a new one, or you want to sell off your old gadget to get a new one. Obiwizi is your plug. By the way, Lagos, Obiwizi is giving these students over 1 million naira in prizes, from laptops to a host of other fantastic gadgets. Our other partner is Booker Hut. Booker Hut is making sure that the candidates stay refreshed, that when they leave the studio, they have a meal to go to after such an exhausting task. Lagos, we are still awaiting the results. We see that some of the results are coming in at the moment. Femi.
So let's go to the results straight. And it's clear what we said was an error. It was just a switching of names, which has been corrected. I'm sure our chief judge will factor that in the final aggregates. So to the scoring. I will start with the scoring of George Ishoma Againi. George Ishoma made note of 4 standout points in Naomi's opening remarks, and she scored her a total of 11 for that. She scored her a total of 6 marks for her rebuttals and a total of 8 marks for her closing arguments. For style, she got a total of 9. I'm just confirming that now. Yes, certainly. For a total of 34 marks, 34 points. Well, we will confirm that in just a bit. But 34 is what I see here. For Emmanuel, 12 marks for presentation. There were 4 standout points he made in his presentation, and he got top marks for each. For his rebuttal rounds, he made 3 notable points, which accumulated 8 marks for him. For his closing remarks, he scored a total of 11 marks. For style, Emmanuel was scored 9 marks for a total of 40 marks.
And Dr. Chike Ngbeadiche scored this way. For Naomi, Dr. Ngbeadiche gave her 10 marks for presentation. For rebuttal, he gave her 12 marks. Closing, 11 marks. Style, 7 marks. For Emmanuel, Dr. Ngbeadiche gave him 11.5 marks for presentation, rebuttal 10 marks, closing 12 marks. For style, he gave 7 marks, with a total of 40 to 40.5.
And now to the scoring of George Ama. George Ama scored Emmanuel 10.5 for presentation, rebuttal rounds 9.5, closing rounds 12.5, and for style 7 marks, for a total of 39.5 marks from George Ama Okhaifo Basi. For Naomi, presentation 9 marks. Your rebuttal rounds 7 marks. Closing rounds 6 marks. And for your style, a total of 4 marks, for a total of 26.
And the aggregate scores collated by Chief Judge Dr. Ngwe are as follows. With a total of 120 to 100, the winner is Emmanuel Uzonwanne. Congratulations, Emmanuel. Naomi Richard, you were a feisty debater. When we heard your entry, we knew you had to come here. We knew there was no way we were going to let you go without giving you that chance. You were among the 32 participants from a pool of over 200 candidates who sent in entries. And for that, I applaud you. To both of you, it took guts to sit here and speak to over 1 million Lagosians. Not just Lagosians. Over 1 million people listening right now to the show from all over the world. And you put up such a fight. Thank you so much for gracing our studios today. We are immensely proud of both of you, and we wish you all the best. Emmanuel, when you step out of the studio, you will get your topic for the round of 16. You have now, between now and the end of the playoffs, to prepare for the round of 16. All the best to both of you.
And to Naomi, you should also take heart. The scoring was very close.
Indeed.
In many of the scorecards. For instance, in the chief judge's scorecard, the difference between the two of you was 0.5.
0.5.
Yes. So that was half of a mark.
Indeed.
Emmanuel scored 40.5, you scored 40. And even though we didn't read it out for our standout judge, he had you up at 46.5 to Emmanuel's 42. And he built that scoring on the strengths of your rebuttal. However, in the end, you give it a good shot. I would have liked to see more of you in this debate, and I think you've got the fire in you.
Indeed.
And you would have grown stronger in the debate. But such is the nature of contests. Once again, thank you very much for gracing our studios.
Thank you very much, you guys. You may now exit the studio. Thank you so much. Congratulations once again to you, Emmanuel, Richard.
See you in the round of 16.
Put up
Emmanuel.
such a great fight. Thank you so much for coming.
All right, this is the part where we hear from you, our esteemed audience, via the phone lines and, of course, via social media. We'll be skirting every single front.
Indeed.
For your thoughts.
You can call us on 0700 993 993 993. You can also call us on 01465 7190 or leave your messages on WhatsApp 0809597585. Hello.
700 993.
Please turn down the volume
Hello?
of your radio set. Thank you.
Yes, I have. I'm sorry. I didn't know you had picked up. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's been a very, very interesting tournament so far. I know that Naomi lost the second debate, but her rebuttal, my God, that was fire.
Indeed.
I was clapping so loudly in my house. I'm sure my neighbors could hear me.
Yeah, the judges agree.
Yeah, sorry.
The judges agree with you.
Yes, her rebuttal round was fire, and I'm sure that, there'll be so many more chances to be able to do this. It was amazing listening to all of the children and the topics. So the team bringing up the topics, my God, another round of applause for you guys. I love the topics. They are very elevated, very educated, and, even if you think you know something, you're definitely learning something new from the kids, and I've loved it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, the golden voice on the news.
Igwe Victor, welcome.
Yeah. Good evening, the GM.
Good evening, my brother. How are you doing?
I'm fine, sir. You guys are doing a wonderful job. God bless you.
Thank you.
In fact, I really appreciate what is going on. My heart was on my hand. Congratulations to Emmanuel. He really did us proud. To Naomi, I think, the lady, the girl.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Congratulations to her too. In every fight, like I said, in every contest, there must be a winner and there must be a loser. In as much as the point in which Emmanuel used to beat her is just 0 point something, I think she did a better job, and she should beat herself on the chest and say, I did it. But all the same, somebody must emerge as a winner. God will bless you people. You are doing a wonderful job. Thank you, sir. And thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Miss Yvonne.
Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Obong-Daniels.
How are you doing?
Mrs. Oboli.
Mrs. Oboli, welcome back.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know. Well, how did the judges pick this winner? This was a closely knit contest. I don't know. In fact, both of them did amazingly well. Both of them. I wouldn't want to be a judge right now. I know it will not be easy picking a winner like the first contest when the first two won. But this one, they tried. Both of them tried. Both of them brought their A game. But one was a major winner. So I want to congratulate both of them, for coming up to enlighten us this evening, rather. Quite insightful, educative, and they both gave salient points. Thank you, Nigeria Info, for giving them this platform.
Thank you very much.
And every of our sponsors.
Thank
God
you
bless
very much. Thank you very much for calling.
Thank you. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. How are you doing?
Good
evening.
I'm very well. Today was such a very wonderful, wonderful debate. I've been listening since one. I'm like, oh God, these kids are so wonderful. These students, I'm calling from Ayobo. These kids are so good. Thank you to you guys for bringing these kids on radio. So wonderful. And Emmanuel to the world. Congratulations to Emmanuel. He did so well. The debate was wonderful. And Naomi's confidence was it for me. Like, when she started, I was like, this girl is going to do so well.
Indeed.
Yeah, her confidence was really strong. But Emmanuel did better. And I'm happy he won this one. And I'm hoping that as the debate goes on, he will grow in his debate, because he's not so strong and I know he's going to meet stronger opponents like Ayo from yesterday. So he has better buckle up.
Right.
Thank you so very much.
Femi, what did you think?
Well, again, sometimes you're reminded that these are children in their mid-teens. The amount of work they put into it. And we know the nature of the I beg to differ debate. Sometimes there are topics that belie the age of the people arguing. We've seen those topics. I thoroughly enjoy the topics because, there are some topics, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. To argue for malaria over COVID-19 or for COVID-19 over malaria, it's pretty tricky, depending on where you approach it from. Again, most times you have to look beyond your own personal biases. So I'm just impressed. And don't forget, for many of these kids, this is their first time. They are still pretty anxious. Some of them are overwhelmed to come and be smack in the studio and to have to debate in the front of people they've only probably ever heard on radio before. It can get really overwhelming for young people. So it's kudos to all of them. That they've held their own.
Exactly. And for this round of debate, it was a close shave.
Very close.
It was close. Naomi had such an attitude. Yeah. The attitude of a debater. She had it. Uzonwanne was more laid back, but he dished out his points. He did. And what a debate. Lagos, we are still taking your reactions. I'll take some messages on WhatsApp. This message says, I don't understand what the judges judged, but it's cool. Well, that's why they're the judges. Impartial judges, on the scorecards, some judges, Naomi won.
It was slim.
Very slim indeed.
But again, remember, on the scorecards of all the three main judges, Emmanuel won, even though slightly in a number of instances. In one judge's scorecard, it was a 6-point difference. In another judge's scorecard, it was, let me say, give and take, and 11. Hang on. No. Yeah. Yes, a 13.5 difference, a 13.5 swing for Emmanuel. So that was what really tipped him over.
Right.
And for the chief judge, it was within the margins. It was less than 0.1. 0.5.
Yes.
0.5. And yes, the standby judge swung it by 4.5 extra point.
Yes.
In
favor of Naomi.
But it's tough. It's tough to vote in this context, and I do agree that Naomi had a very tough rebuttal round. But I think Emmanuel did enough
in the presentation.
Yes.
Emmanuel had more points in the presentation.
Yes, in the presentation, because when Naomi came, she came with a lot of fire.
Yes.
And you were wondering how Emmanuel was going to respond.
Right.
His response was impressive.
Indeed.
And you could also argue that in the closing, he just, took the thing to bed. So.
This message says she has a fighting spirit. At a point, I was almost thinking she would win, but Emma's points were so real to take him forward. She shouldn't give up. She's a great debater. Joe from Ikorodu, we solely agree with you. Good evening, guys. These kids did exceptionally well. I can't even present such topics with such verified stats and data to debate on these topics. I wish them well in the next competition. Thanks. This is from Nana from Shongwater. This message says the debate was fire for fire. Either of the debaters is fit to proceed to the second round. I really pity the judges on this. This is the beg to differ with desire. As a jealous man, the debaters made my day. Thanks, Nigeria Info, for this opportunity. This is from Mike from Ekpe. We hope that you get the job soon, Mike. But we hope that you also
Amen
listen.
to that.
Okay, we'll take a few more calls. Hello. Oh, sorry about that. Let's see if we can. Okay. Hello.
Yvonne.
Yes.
Madam Moderator. Well done. And I give Mr. Moderator too, your co-moderator. You see, Femi, one thing we should understand is that despite their age, they have demonstrated good understanding of the topic. And the topic is very, very complex. Especially when Emmanuel had to talk about COVID, and the other lady talking about which one is more, disastrous. I think Emmanuel did a good job. She did a good job as well. But I was so fascinated by the points Emmanuel gave, especially given the kinds of COVID, the Omicron, the different species, and the danger in providing the vaccine. That really made it for me, and that made my day. So let me please tell me, are we saying that Emmanuel is going to be meeting under Emmanuel in the next match?
Yes, it's the battle of it's the battle of the Emmanuel.
This time around now, we now have the boys woken up.
Yes.
It seems it's going to be their season.
Well,
thank you.
We will see.
Thank you very much.
We will see.
Look, we are completely out of time, but Lagos, our partners in this debate are Obiwizi. Obiwizi is giving the contestants over 1 million naira in prizes and is also responsible for the judges' honorarium. We also have Buka Hut, who is ensuring that the debaters stay fed. Not just the debaters, but the production team as well. This has been such a feisty show today, Femi.
Yes, and we have you to thank for it, our esteemed listeners. We'll be back tomorrow. And when we do come back tomorrow, well, another round of battles. You think you've seen anything yet? Wait for it. Join us at 4 p.m. tomorrow as we continue with Season 6 of the I Beg to Differ Students Debate Competition.
All right, Lagos. I am Yvonne Okhaifo.
And I'm Femi Obong-Daniels.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.